Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Is That an Owlbear, a D&D podcast. I'm DM Joe,
And I'm Christina.
and we're your hosts today to talk a
And
little bit
always,
about
because it's
D&D.
our
Always,
podcast.
and not yours. Sorry.
You're welcome here, but are you sharing your opinions? Not that we can hear. Maybe you
You
need to start speaking up and reaching out to us on our socials. What?
exactly. If you want to be featured in our podcast, you're welcome to. Just give us a shout out and we'll
We're
interview other
literally
D&D
just rolling
people.
with the punches. We don't.
But I would
This
love to
is
hear other people's D&D opinions. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
And
no,
they can be
for
all
real.
like, they can come in and be like, I disagree with everything that you said. We should do everything by the book because of these reasons, and have an awesome debate about it.
You know what? Hell yes. If you want to let us know whatever you think about specific things that we've already talked about, if you want to share your weirdest D&D moment with us, just send us a message, just whether it is on Twitter, on Instagram, or on, the emails,
YouTube,
whatever.
all of it,
Send it,
all of
it's
it.
all of them. Send it to us and we will feature the best ones on our episodes. Why the hell not?
Honestly, one of the episodes we most loved recording was the RPG horror stories. So if you got any, send them over. We would love to
Please,
discuss
we
and
will
tell you
we
why
will
you're
discuss
right.
them. Yes, we will
We
discuss them on not stream because this is a podcast, but
maybe we should stream our podcast. Get on that one as well. Just get on
Honestly, it's
all
probably gonna happen.
platforms. I
But in
mean,
the meantime, we already said go to our socials and we haven't mentioned them. Owl Bear Pod on Instagram and YouTube. Owl Bear Pod 1 on Twitter. You got all of the info. There you go. You are welcome. What are we talking about today?
we're talking about villains, evil villains, and what makes a good
Ooh.
villain, what makes a bad villain, what makes mediocre villains, and I guess those are the extremes in the middle for them. And it's actually
Sure.
one of the things that I enjoy the most. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can build them, what a player, Christina's perspective, wants to see from her villains, and a little bit of what I do to keep it interesting, to keep it going forward. And I'll start with my number one go-to for
Yes.
villains, which is keep it gray.
Keep it gray, keep it gray, keep it gray. That is the producer's reference. If you're a musical theater person, you better have gotten the reference.
Also, you're welcome. She doesn't sing for free, so you got
I
that.
do not.
But I was gonna go with keep it as one of the most immortal things, much like Dorian Gray, is to keep it gray. Make him. You can have your comically evil person, like go for it. It's fine. Those are fine. But for me, what I most enjoy is when the players can
Root
have
for
to
the
pause.
villain.
Yeah, I have to pause and be like, am I the villain? I don't think I'm the villain. Am I?
Am I?
Yes. Like if I can make the players backtrack and really question what they're doing, my gray villains have done their task. And I really enjoy it. I just think honestly that the dialogue that comes from it, the role playing that comes from it, the decision making that comes from it is
Oh,
part of the
absolutely.
best things.
1,000%. A villain, a character that can swindle the players into doing their bidding because they have appealed to their actual moral code and their ultimate goal, and be like, you know what? You know what? I think that I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna follow this motherfucker because they made it make sense. You know how I'm always like, make it make sense. Well, they made it make sense. And now I am a farm believer.
One of the big things
Firm,
in the
not
way
farm. Wow.
farm wow, words, your wording. One of the easiest ways that you can make a villain be gray or be morally
ambiguous,
vague, yes, is by keeping in mind that the villain is the hero to his own story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is, here I go again, equating everything I do with performing, but that's what I'm here for. All right. That's what I'm here for. And at the end of the day, we're all playing characters. We're all acting when we are playing Dungeons and Dragons. The role play, what do you think that is? So, one of the most important lessons that I have learned as a student of the performing arts is that you have to be your character's own advocate. You cannot find, like, we were not allowed in more than one of my classes, we were not allowed to speak poorly about our character. We always had to find adjectives that described our character in a positive way, in a positive light, because who's gonna root for our character if not ourselves? Who is going to try and drive the main point of our characters, the main goal, through and make it convincing and make it resonate with other people if we do not believe in our characters? So yeah,
right on that point, I'm a big Marvel fan, as we've discussed before, and when Elizabeth Olsen was doing press for Multiverse of Madness, spoilers, I guess, they kept asking her, like, well, how does it feel to be the villain, whatever, and she kept answering, which she's like, I don't think one was the villain. She's the mother. She's a mother grieving, and she's really struggling. Just going with everything that Cristina said, she made it reasonable of why Wanda went batshit, because
cuckoo bananas.
And in her, she justified all of her actions because she was just trying to get the kids that she lost right after Vision. And
that never existed.
Struggle. I mean, Wanda drives the struggle bus since her first appearance. Every time she's in a movie, somebody dies. Well, not every time.
Wanda just has a bad time. Like, whether it is the MCU, whether it is the comic books, Wanda just has a bad time. This is not the podcast for it. We could have an entire podcast just about Wanda and why she is perpetually struggling.
Why she is the leader of the struggle bus. But yeah, so the keep it gray and keep it reasonable with our own intentions. All villains don't have to be, and again, you can have that villain, and I think a great example of a villain that is just comically evil, that is just out of his mind, it's just completely bad. A good example is, at least for me, Sauron could be one. The Joker could be another one. Yeah, the Joker could be another one. And those are good villains. Don't get me wrong. Like, those are, like, one of the pros about Sauron, that what he offers is not only is he like just big, bad, and evil, he has the whole untouchable side of being a villain. He has he really doesn't move out of his tower. He just exists within it and is a threat through his generals. That those do get to die and are much more expendable, but he's just ever present because of his fear, like just because of his influence and sheer presence. That also makes a good type of villain, because it really sets an end game from the start to the players. We need to take out this terrible person for whatever reasons.
Right. I agree. I agree. I don't have anything else to add to that. I agree. Oh, no.
On the other side of Sauron, or I don't know if the other side, but like another aspect of like an interesting type of villain is you have Darth Vader, or a villain who constantly appears. He is online.
All right, so we seem to be having a couple of technical difficulties. So for those who are watching us on YouTube, you probably noticed, you might have seen my panicked face. For those of you who are listening, I don't know if you noticed, because I won't know if that audio got recorded until we're done. So
correct. So we're gonna pick it up from giving a little examples of why Vader is different than Sauron.
Yes.
what is really good about Vader is that he'll come into your shit and fuck you up, right? And like he destroys the entire team that is protecting you. He'll like destroy the base. He'll destroy the people who are on your side. Vader is a very imposing villain. He's very
Yes, he
like
is.
in your shit.
Yeah, he is. Like,
And the only way to deal with him until the end is to run away.
pretty much.
Lose your hand.
Lose your hand.
I mean, with that, he thinks he won, so he's like, all right, cut off your hand. My son. He's a mess.
Yeah, no, just run away. You're gonna die. Just run away. You're gonna die. Ignore it. Ignore it.
And you have to be careful with that type of villain, Vader directly, because if the players keep beating him, if it becomes a regular fight, he loses his
credibility.
Yes, your main villain can't just constantly be beaten. If he does, he becomes more of a comical type of villain. Like a very like
you heroes.
Yes, which are also fine. But
they are.
I don't know if you want your big bad evil guy to be that.
No.
I guess it depends on your campaign.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you're playing. It depends on how you're doing it. I guess, but there is something to be said about a party's nemesis or a player's nemesis versus, well, no, I was gonna say a nemesis would ideally be in multiple battles.
Yes.
However, a nemesis could either be a comedic character or could be, kind of like Ganon for Link. They continue to go at each other and they continue to have multiple battles depending on the game, depending on the circumstances.
Yes.
But like that's the nemesis. That is the person that we're battling, One of
to go with what you're saying about Ganon specifically, because I think the archetype that he does very well is that the entire game, and this is true, I think, for most, if not all, Zeldas, and if I get the name wrong, feel free to tell me I'm a terrible person.
Correct.
But you play Link on a regular basis, and you're always going up against Ganon. Right. And in all the damn games, when you get to the final battle, Ganon summons Ganondorf. And he's the real big bad. So that is also an archetype that works very well, because you can do it two ways. You can allude to it, like you can be like, "Ooh, something's more corrupting, something is stronger, something is whatever," or you can just be like, "Potato, he summoned something bad, you're fucked," and it makes sense in the story that you're telling. You have to be very on point with that. Like you need to be aware of what you're trying to do. So I think Ganon is a great example of someone who always serves a higher purpose.
Right. Okay. I see that. I can see that. What I really enjoy in a villain is the ability. How do I say it? I like the villains who make me think that they were on my side the entire time.
Ooh, those are good.
Those are good. Not necessarily the ones that live in the gray, the ones whose reasoning for doing what they're doing. I mean, I do love those. Don't get me wrong, but the ones that have just been there from the start, who have truly earned your love and respect, who have truly earned that position to be your trustworthy companion, who not switch on you due to circumstances, but because that was the end goal the entire time. Those villains hit me right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
And it's really, those villains are fun for me to use because players don't expect it. If done well, I mean, they could see it coming, they could not, but they're like, this is my friend John, and then all of a sudden, it's not that John changed sides, it's that John was I mean, it could be that John changed sides. It could be that John was never on your side. He was on John's side.
That part. And I have to say, we have shout out to our friend Male, whom I have not played with in a really long time. However, I appreciate very much characters that do this not as an NPC, but as a player. And Male has done that to us multiple times. And I never know what to expect from Male's characters because there's always the chance. But she is always so sweet and so lawful good from the get-go with all of her characters. I just scratched my face. That the moment that she chooses to play a deceitful character, like a chaotic evil, I think that Male's antithesis for how she plays the lawful good characters would be the chaotic evil ones because so she's done that a couple of times and absolutely fucked up the party while she's at it. And I mean, after that, we know what's what, and more often than not, she either gets to flee and escape and not necessarily receive the divine justice that her character deserves, or, you know, her arc has ended and then she gets acquired by the Mr. DM right over here, which has happened a couple of times. Yes. But the way that the story gets just progressed, advanced, up, fucking just like flipped over. It's just good job, Male. Good job.
Those party betrayals are great, and I really enjoy if those happen, for the character to not die and to be able to come back at least a couple of times to really like the dagger's already in, so they'll twist it the next 2-3 times that they appear, and players hate when the villain can like so I love it because they don't hate it from a bad place. They hate it because the story is really getting to them,
because
to
you be truly betrayed me,
yes,
and my heart and my feelings, because I am this fictional character.
Yes, you got played with a
I got played
P.
I got played, and I feel real silly right now, and I'm gonna go cry until next week.
You know what's gonna make you cry less? Another type of villain, which is one that I use often, but I struggle. I don't struggle with it. I just it lacks a little nuance for me, which is just the cool villain. Like when I think of Sephiroth. Sephiroth is an insane, Sephiroth.
Oh, I was sharp there. Never mind.
Sephiroth is out of his mind.
Yeah.
And what he has going for him is looking like the coolest motherfucker in town. So I like making my villains look like the coolest motherfuckers in town, but I have to add more to it. Because Sephiroth's entire stick is that he's like an alien baby and he's looking for his mother, and his mother's an alien, and if you know Final Fantasy VII story, and like you're aware of it, it's really fucking wild. But everybody knows. I
actually don't know it. I started playing 8th, not 7th. So do not spoil me, because I actually have it. I just haven't played it. It doesn't matter. I do know it.
But what you do know,
moving on,
that's the power of the cool villain. You do know Sephiroth.
Yes.
Like his just the way he looks is iconic. Like Sephiroth is an iconic looking villain. And you have to be careful with that, because you need to bring to the table that power of iconicness that you're giving this outfit. Otherwise it becomes very very absurd. Yeah, it just becomes very I'm very cool, but I keep dying every time we fight. It's like
then it
Funny.
becomes like the comedic shtick that we were just
Yeah.
talking about before.
Yeah.
The what's the name of that? Oh, you don't watch cartoons. Do you remember that cartoon from the 70s, the wacky racist? Yeah, exactly. Your face says everything. Anyway,
I heard you say the wacky racists. And
not
I'm
racists,
sure
racists with cars,
okay.
No, no, my goodness.
Yeah, anyway, so you know, another of the ones that I really like to pull off, but it can only work if it's foreshadowed accordingly, is you got the 1% thing as the big bad evil guy, and then you have his little lieutenants, and then one of the lieutenants is like insane, so he kills the big bad evil guy at some point, probably in front of the players, and he like usurps the story to be even worse than.
Oh,
I like those a lot.
I like those. Oh, my dog just had a fit right now. Like, no. I like those. I haven't played with that many of those, I don't think. I mean, with a few, but
the one that comes to mind for me is, I mean, I think I've done that trope before, because
you probably have.
I've played it enough that I think I've done it at some point. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Oh, no, I can. I had some vampires who served a greater vampire, and then they killed the greater vampire, and they were
yeah, no, that did happen. That did happen several times.
Yes, especially in our long-running vampire campaign.
Yeah.
But this one, when I was introduced to it, I remember being a kid, and I can be honest and saying I didn't like it, because I didn't understand what was happening. But it was in Final Fantasy 3/6. Kefka. I don't know if you've heard of Kefka, but he is like insane clown guy who kills the evil emperor halfway through the game and destroys the world.
Oh no. Okay, I don't like it. Okay.
And then the second half of the game is you in a new world, basically an entire new map, finding your party again to go defeat Kefka because he fucking destroyed the world. So it's the story was really like going, evil guy is researching magical rocks to murder, change, and you're like,
the fuck?
How did this rug get pulled out under me? I did not see this coming.
Here?
Yes, yes. No. I was like a 12-year-old, like bite-sized Joe being like,
bite-sized Joe.
I don't understand. I was very confusing to my little brain.
I bet. I appreciate the villains that come with the world building, as in the villains that have been established at this point for several games, for several, not sessions, but like we have an ongoing game, a running game that features the villain in a minute, let's say minute, that's the right word, in a minute role, just to be found again a year or two later in a completely different role, but still causing havoc, and just to have the characters be like, wait, hold on, this name, what who is this person? Just be like, you roll for it. You'll remember who this person is.
It's very like that. What you're describing is giving very much Dragon Age Inquisition Solas vibes.
Oh fuck! God damn,
like
Solas.
When I finished Inquisition and he was like, I am Fenharel, I lost my mind. Like my mind melted out of my brain, and I was just like, this is
came out through your ears.
Yes, it did. Like the way my life was changed forever. It's just they've been talking about the Elven Pantheon since fuck Solas. But they were talking about the Elven Pantheon since game 1. And you hear about Fenharel and the tricking gods and this and that, and it's always around you, but it's never about that. And then boom. And you're like, okay, so I guess this
fuck
is where we're
me.
going. Yeah. fucking Solus, I'ma kill you. I want Dragon
Solus,
Age 4
man.
now, please. Thank you.
Please come out wherever you are. It's already 2023.
It's been 10 years.
It's been a really long time. Come on
10
now.
fucking years. But yeah, it like we're just giving some examples of what makes I want to say interesting villains. Obviously, you can't include all the tropes in one of them. It's just giving you a foundry, like a base of where you can go from. Because one of the biggest things your campaign needs is a compelling villain. You can't.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can do we adventure and there is an overarching arc, and they can be very individual. But if you're going for a more campaign setting where it's very overarching arc. We're wording. Keep in mind these little tidbits to really flesh out that villain and treat him like a player. Like, sit down, and one of the best things that you need to do when you create any NPC, villains included, is what are his goals? What are his weaknesses? They can't just be, oh, they're whatever. No. It's, is he married? So if he's married, somebody loves him. They have to, hopefully. If it's not weird.
Hopefully.
If
otherwise
weird,
that's an entire game on its own.
Yeah. That's a different game. We don't play that game here.
That sounds like Hamlet, but just saying. Anyways,
Shakespeare did it first.
Yeah. I was gonna say something witty about Shakespeare, and no, it died. It died in my brain.
Come out.
No.
Also, something that is that I like a lot to do for my villains is, and this is a little bit on the trickier side, is incorporate the villain into players' backstories without them knowing it's the same villain.
Yes. I love that. Oh no, my village was pillaged when I was 5, and everybody I ever knew was, killed, and I was left for dead. Who burned my village? That one guy that you've been chasing for 5 months and that you actually didn't want to at the beginning. That person gave the order. Oh, no.
That person, oh no, my father was abusive, and he killed my little brother because he didn't show any signs of magic, and I'm a sad wizard who had to escape because my father was terrible. Who is it? That guy who burned your village.
Oh no.
And then you do all these little tie-ins where everybody has a villain that can have a different name, a different nickname, or a title. He can be Baroness of Darkness or whatever you want to go with it. And eventually they all lead to the same person. And then when the players realize that, you'll fucking glass shatter moment their lives.
In the north, I am known as blah, blah, blah. In the south, I am known as blah. In the marshlands. Oh no! Yes. Those are the overlords of fuckery that you're just like, what you mean we're all related or connected? Boy,
those are fun. A little bit harder because you have to keep track of a lot of things for them to work successfully. But that's true. That's just some of our ideas of what you can do to like flesh out your villains in a more compelling way. One of the last examples that I want to mention is our little friend Voldemort, him who must not be named, written by she who must not be named. Because I don't have another, I can't think of another example that isn't this guy. I'm sure there's a ton of them, but what he does really well is
a
that
relatable one at least.
Well, yeah, or one that I'm aware of. He is equal power level to the characters per book. He starts off being a weird, like, face on the back of someone's head, and then he's
depleted from all of his magic just to have to start like regaining.
So just as Harry's getting stronger, so is the villain. So that way it's the opposite of Vader, where you can have him constantly be beaten because he's not at his full strength.
Okay.
So it works
All right.
because he's always barely beaten. It's always they barely made it out. People are still dying. It works.
I hear you.
Pero, and this is a big but, you need to have a very compelling story. Otherwise, people would be like, God, this is boring. Because if your villain isn't strong at the start, they'll just be like, I'll step on it.
Then what are we here for? Then what?
Absolutely nothing.
Like, it is, I think it is important to have a looming threat when you're building a world. If the story that you're trying to, like with Harry Potter, if this is the example that we're using, much to my personal chagrin, and do not come for me, do not. I was the biggest Potterhead until I wasn't. All right. Moving on. But like, if you're trying, you have to have that looming sense of forebodingness, that ominous presence of there's a threat that is slowly approaching. If you are taking the time to build the world of the story that you're trying to tell, but also make sure that you're doing it in an efficient way, that you're not just not wasting time. That is not the right way to say it, but that you're not just lingering too much in the minutia of how you're gonna do things. Although, when you get real comfy in a situation and then all of a sudden, emotion, that's also great.
That's also great.
That is also great. Like, you minding your own business and all of a sudden, war, like it works, but only in fantasy game, not in the reality of the world, whatever. Anyway, Cristina needs to go take a nap.
But before she does take a nap, why don't you go ahead and tell me what I sent you?
Okay.
It is a massive, right as you walk into the darkest dungeon of your big bad evil guy, you see a massive, humongous skeleton with two horns that twirl. His axe can literally cut you into 7 pieces without an effort. He is giant. He has furs that cling out of his skeletal body. His eyes are piercing blue, that from such a tall distance they seem to emit that coldness that seeps through snow. What am I?
Shit, I'm not sure. I would say, and it's an undead. I mean, it's a fucking skeleton, but also the little like loincloth with bones. It's just, it's an effective visual. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know. I give up. I have no idea. What is it?
He is a frost giant skeleton.
A frost giant. I was gonna say something snow, but I mean,
if you would have said a snow skeleton, I would have been like, close enough. Okay. But yeah, the reason I picked him is because I was originally gonna pick Vecna, but I thought,
oh no, Lord Vecna.
Yeah, we'll do one for Vecna eventually. But this guy is great for any of your big bad evil guys because they're like great. They're a low level ish, challenge rating 6, and they're strong enough to really pose like guardians for like an undead type of villain, someone who's sitting behind and will send them to attack. I like these. They're strong enough to take away some spell slots
for like guardian of a maze and stuff like that.
Yep. Okay. Guardian of a temple, guardian of a maze, guardian of a fortress where the big bad evil guy lives. They serve that function for me directly. That's what I would use them. I quite like that.
All right. Okay. Well, he looks big and bad.
He does look big and bad. He's pretty great. This was very fun today. Thank
It
you,
was.
everyone, for tuning in once again to another episode of Is That an Owlbear, a D&D podcast. Go ahead and find us on our socials at OwlbearPod on Instagram and YouTube, OwlbearPod1 on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Harrell. You can find, right now that's all. Oh, you can also find me on Start Playing under DM Joe. We're booking some tables there in case you want to play with me or Cristina or both of us.
What's up? Let's play. You can find me at Crispa Contreras on Instagram and Twitch. I forgot what I was gonna say. And you can find me as Crispa120 on TikTok and Twitter. Yes, on TikTok and Twitter. Come and hang out. We have a fun time. We might be messy, but we have a fun time.
We have the best of times.
All right, everybody. See you guys next week.
Bye. Bye.